Hello and welcome to this Foundation Year podcast. And today we are focusing on the admissions assessment and frequently asked questions. We're going to talk through some of the most common questions students have around the admissions assessment for the University of Cambridge Foundation Year. Now, for people who are new to the Foundation Year at Cambridge, this is a foundation year in arts, humanities, and social sciences. And the aim of this podcast is to make the processes and the course and Cambridge feel clearer, less intimidating, and easier to prepare for. So we have some students who have just been shortlisted, have just been through this process and also sat their interviews as well. So they will know how it works and what was to expect and the best approach for it. But this podcast is a guide for those on the outside who maybe don't know how this works, or maybe thinking about making an application and want some advice on the admissions assessment and what to expect. But before we go much further with this, I would like to talk about the Applicant Support Programme. This is a really useful program that you can get lots of this information for if you're thinking of making an application to the University of Cambridge and for its foundation year. Our foundation year is designed as a sort of like a stepping stone into Cambridge and into higher education. It offers an alternative route for students whose academic potential has been affected by some sort of disruption or disadvantage. The program helps prepare students for degree level study in arts, humanities, and social sciences, and is intended to help students build their confidence and find their academic footing and build a foundation that they will need to succeed. If you're thinking of applying, one of the best places to start is with the Applicant Support Programme. Now, this program begins in October and is designed to give you guidance and advice throughout the application process. But signing up now will give you access to the Applicant Support Programme Hub. Now, the Hub is very useful and contains lots of useful resources, key information, links, as well as updates on our latest events, deadlines, and the UCAS fairs that there will be a foundation year member of staff attending. So if you're attending one of the upcoming UCAS or higher education fairs, you will know if there's someone there to talk to about the foundation year. The great thing about this is we give lots of guidance and advice on how to make your application with a step-by-step process, and this begins in October, but you can get access to the hub now and you can check things like your eligibility. For example, I would really recommend checking the category 2 school tracker we have. So if you're eligible for category 2, which is school characteristics, you can type in the postcode of your school and check whether you're eligible through this characteristic. If this is the case, you only have to satisfy one more category, so whether it be category 1 or category 3. But you can find a lot more information on eligibility on the hub and in our upcoming podcast. But I want to get back to our assessment webinar or podcast. And in this, we are going to focus on four main areas. First, we will explain what the Cambridge Foundation Year Admissions Assessment actually is and why it forms part of the admissions process. A lot of students understandably want to know not just what they will have to do, but why the assessment exists. Why are we asking for this information? Why it's there in the first place. Second, we will look at who is invited to take part in the admissions assessment and how the process works in practice. That includes a little bit of why the admissions process happens and when it happens, who receives it, and how it fits along with the rest of your application. Thirdly, we will talk about what to expect on the day itself. So, more accurately, what to expect when you sit the assessment, how to prepare in a sensible way without over preparing or putting too much pressure on yourself. The aim here is not to turn this into something intimidating, but to help you feel informed and ready. And finally, we'll point you to some reliable sources of information along with the hub if you've signed up for the Applicant Support Programme and further support. So if you have any questions after listening, you'll know exactly where to go. So with this overview in mind, let's begin by looking at the admissions assessment. And what does the admissions assessment cover? So in short, the online assessment is used alongside the rest of your application, including your UCAS form and your foundation year supplementary application questionnaire, or as we call it, the FYSAC, because that is a mouthful. It is one part of the overall picture, rather than something looked at in isolation. The main purpose of the assessment is to help the foundation year team understand how you think, what your processing is like. So it's designed to look at how you read, how you engage with unfamiliar material, and how you respond to new ideas in a thoughtful and reasoned way. That also means it is not a traditional exam. It is not mainly about testing whether you already know lots of specialist subjects and subject content. The assessment is there to create a more level playing field. So applicants from different educational backgrounds with different qualifications all have the chance to respond to the same kind of task. Really, it's about it's what helps the admissions team to build a fuller picture of your academic potential, and in particular, your potential to succeed on the foundation year itself. So it gives us a way, sorry, to see how you reason, how you communicate, and approach the material you may not have seen before. So now we've covered what the assessment is. The next question is how or who takes it and what the process is. So who is asked to take the admissions assessment? The key point here is that the assessment is used for applicants who remain under consideration after initial shortlisting. So if you have been shortlisted, you will be asked to complete the admissions assessment. It is used at a specific point in the process for applicants who are still being actively considered. So you get shortlisted, you'll complete the admissions assessment. If you're invited to take the assessment, you will be contacted directly by a member of the foundation year team. So you do not need to guess or worry about whether you've missed something. If the assessment is part of your next steps, you will be told clearly and directly. The instructions you receive will explain what you need to know. So this includes the format of the assessment, the timing, any technical requirements. So you should read those carefully and follow the guidance given. We also provide PDFs and information from previous admission assessments so you can prepare for this. It is also worth saying that if you are not invited to take the assessment, that doesn't mean your application has simply been ignored. The admissions process looks at information provided across the whole application. So the decisions are made using the materials available at the stage. So for students listening to this, it's an important thing to follow the communication you receive from the foundation year team, and not to assume that everyone will go through the exact same next step at the exact same time. So let's look a little more closely at how this process works. The admissions assessment takes place after the UCAS and FYSAC deadlines, once applications have gone through the early stages of the process. The exact dates are published by the foundation year team and can be found on the website, and also keep an eye on your emails. There will be in your emails that you receive giving you information about your admissions assessment. The assessment itself is delivered online. That means that you can do it and complete it completely remotely using your own device rather than traveling somewhere in person. Ideally, you should plan to complete it in a quiet space where you can focus and properly avoid interruptions. If you're invited to take part, you'll receive joining instructions in advance. Those instructions will explain the practical details you need, including deadlines, login information, and anything else you need to do before you begin. One of the most important things you can do is read that email carefully. It will usually answer most of your practical questions that you have. And if you notice an issue, a technical problem, some confusion around timings, or something that might affect your ability to complete the assessment as expected, it's always best to get in touch as early as possible rather than leaving it to the last minute. And you can do that by going to the Foundation Year website or using our email address. So that's foundation.year. So overall, the process is designed to be clear and manageable, but it does rely on you checking your emails regularly and carefully and following the instructions given. If you're ever in doubt or confused, email us and a member of the team will help you with some guidance. And what does the assessment look like? In broad terms, we should expect you should expect like timed tasks. Okay, so this may be a short piece of reading, material, some sort of reading material, and then writing a response to it. The emphasis is usually on engaging with something new and showing how you make sense of it rather than repeating information you already know. So it will intentionally be something that we don't think many of you will know about. Okay. The questions are designed to focus on skills like reasoning, interpretation, and communication. In other words, the admissions team is interested to see how clearly you can think and how well you can engage with ideas and how effectively you can explain your response. It is also important to say that this is not meant to catch you out. We're not trying to trick you or give you trick questions. And it's not based on some hidden curriculum or specialist background knowledge that only certain candidates will have. The assessment is much more about how you approach unfamiliar material in the moment. And that leads to another really important point. There is no single perfect answer. This is not the kind of assessment where everyone is expected to produce the same response. What matters is the quality of your thinking, how you interpret the material in front of you, and how you communicate your ideas. So, if you're preparing, it can help to shift your mindset away from trying to guess the right answer. Instead, focus on reading carefully, thinking clearly, and explaining your ideas as well as you can. The most important thing to understand is that it is considered alongside the rest of your application. It's looked at as a whole and it's a holistic process. So the process will include looking at your UCAS application, your FY-SAC, your interview, your admissions assessment, along with relevant contextual information. This is not designed to replace any of those things, and it is not treated as the only measure of your suitability. The admissions teams look at your whole application rather than focusing on just one score, one task, or one performance on one particular day. The assessment gives an additional way to understand how you think and respond, but it sits within the broader picture. Your responses are read carefully by the admissions team, and the assessment is double marked. If there is a major difference in marks, there is further moderation. So there is a process in place to support fairness and consistency. Once completed, responses are added to the applicant's file for discussion at interview. So really, the assessment is one piece of evidence among several. It helps the admissions team make fair, informed, and consistent decisions by adding another perspective on your academic potential and the way you engage with new material. Another important part of the process is adjustments, access, and support. Now, if you usually receive exam adjustments, it's really important to let the foundation year team know as early as possible. Information about reasonable adjustments is gathered as part of the admissions process, including through the FY-SAC, so that support can be considered in good time. Depending on your circumstances, adjustments may include things like additional time, alternative formats where appropriate, things like this. The aim is not to give anyone an advantage, but rather to make sure that applicants have a fair opportunity to demonstrate their ability. It's also worth raising any practical circumstances that could affect taking the assessment. That might include technical issues, caring responsibilities, anything else that can make the process harder for you to access in the usual way. Because the assessment is completed remotely, it is especially helpful to flag those things early so the team can advise properly. The key message here is that the foundation year team wants the process to be fair and even and balanced. And we want this to be accessible. So if you have something that might affect how you take the assessment, don't stay quiet and don't struggle through it on your own. Get in touch as early as possible, explain the situation, and ask for guidance. Now, it's going to be fairly common to want to really prepare for this, and sometimes you can over prepare. So, a good place to start is rereading your UCAS application and your FY-SAC. It helps to remind yourself of what you have already said, what matters to you, and how you've described your experiences and interests. It's not about learning your application by heart, but feeling more confident and familiar with your own story. It's also useful to practice reading short articles or opinion pieces, then summarizing the main argument in your own words. That kind of practice can really help you get more confident when identifying key areas, thinking about the writer or think about what a writer is saying and responding clearly. Another helpful approach is to spend a bit of time explaining your own ideas out loud. You might do this with a friend or a teacher or someone supporting your application. Speaking through your thoughts can help you notice where your ideas are clear and where they may need more structure, and how to express yourself more confidently. What is probably less helpful is to treat this like a test you can crack with a model answer or expensive coaching. The foundation year is interested in your thinking, your reasoning, and your ability to engage honestly with new material. So, memorizing polished answers is unlikely to help you in the way you might hope. The best preparation is usually the simple one. So, to read, to reflect, to practice explaining ideas clearly, and to trust that what matters most is your genuine response. We are interested in you as a candidate. So let's think about what we're going to do on the day, some practical tips. First, make sure you check your equipment, your internet connection, and log in, and your login details, make sure you have these ahead of time. Even a quick check earlier in the day can help you avoid unnecessary stress when you want to begin. It's also worth choosing your space carefully. Try to find somewhere quiet and comfortable where you're unlikely to be interrupted. You want to give yourself the best chance to focus fully on the assessment without distractions in the background. Before you start, have everything you need ready. That might include water, any equipment or materials that you're allowed to use, and the timing information or instructions you have been sent. Having those things prepared in advance can help you feel more settled and more in control. Finally, take a moment to pause before you begin. Take a deep breath, slow yourself, and remind yourself that this is a completely normal situation to feel nervous. Most applicants will feel some pressure at this stage. The important thing is to stay calm, read carefully, and to do your best. Now, you do not need to be perfect. You just need to show your thinking as clearly and as honestly as you can. The preparation alone can make a real difference in how confident you feel when the assessment starts. Now, after the assessment, it's important to take a moment, congratulate yourself. This part is completed. The admissions team reviews your responses alongside the rest of your application. That means the assessment is looked at in context together with other information you've already provided, rather than as a completely separate exercise. It is also important to know what not to expect. We will not usually receive you will not usually receive an instant response, a ranking email, or feedback on the same day. That can feel a little strange when you've just finished something that you feel is so important, but it's completely normal. The process takes time because responses need to be reviewed carefully and considered fairly. Once decisions are ready, you'll be contacted by the foundation year team. So after you've submitted the assessment, the best thing you can do is keep an eye on your emails, check the published timelines on the website, and try not to overanalyze how it went. The last part, and this is often the hardest, many applicants come away thinking that the answer they could have phrased it differently, or wish they added a part that they didn't add. That is a normal reaction. But once it is done, it is done. At that stage, the most helpful thing you can do is let the process move forward and wait for your next communication. So take that deep breath after you finish, congratulate yourself, that step is complete, and wait for your next communication on the next steps. So, before we finish today's podcast, let's take a look at some of the key facts and takeaways from this episode. The admissions assessment is about your potential and how you think. It's not about being perfect. It's not about producing a flawless model answer. What matters most is how you engage with the materials in front of you and how you reason through it. Second, use the information the team provides you. You do not need to guess what will happen. You will not need to rely on rumors or assumptions. Read the emails you receive carefully. Engage with the webinars that are put on, especially with the applicant support program, and use published guidance. And follow the instructions you're given at each stage. Thirdly, do look after your well-being while you prepare and while you wait for outcomes. The admissions process can feel very intense, and it's completely normal to feel uncertain or anxious. Try to keep things in perspective. Prepare in a calm and sensible way, and give yourself space to step back once you have done what you can. Finally, for the most up-to-date information, do visit the Foundation Year website and the Applicant Support Programme resources. Those are the best place to go to get reliable guidance and practical updates and further support. And thinking about the Applicant Support Programme, before we finish, this is my strongest recommendation. If you are interested in applying to the Foundation Year Cambridge, or you are a teacher or supporter of someone you think would be eligible or suitable for the Foundation Year Cambridge, sign up to the Applicant Support Programme now. The QR code is on the screen. The webinar series starts in October, but by signing up now, you'll get access to the Applicant Support Programme Hub, which is an online space designed to support prospective applicants and their supporters throughout the application process. It brings together guidance, advice, and useful resources into one place, so you don't have to try to work around the website and gather all this information. The Hub is where we can help you to understand how the Foundation Year works, how to prepare your UCAS application, personal statement, and more about the FY SAC. And you can access useful information and information from the team. It has our repository for our newsletters, and the Hub will also have all the latest events and goings on, including open days and how to make bookings for these. Hopefully you have found this useful. We're going to be continuing with our podcast series, releasing information about the Foundation Year, getting current and previous students on to discuss their experiences, along with academic staff to talk about teaching on the Foundation Year. We are in the full swings of UCAS fairs currently. And if you want to see which UCAS fairs a member of our team, more than likely myself, will be attending, you can check on the Hub there, and it has the list of the UCAS fairs we will be attending. We look forward to seeing you all and seeing your teachers and supporters, and hopefully you found this material useful. If there's anything else you think could be of value, please feel free to drop us an email as well, and we will see if we can put this into the series or add a webinar in to help give you that information. But please do visit the Foundation Year website. There's lots of useful information there, and sign up for the program. And we will see you in our next podcast episode. Have a wonderful day.